Hey, my name is Ernesto, and this is my evidence tree, a recollection of the whole important topics that we saw during this whole semester. I'm going to define now the four themes that from today's history, yes. Well, let's begin with one of the hugest topics ever, the globalization. Well, what is globalization? Globalization means the interaction of economies and societies through cross-country flows of information, ideas, technologies, goods, services, capital, finances, and people. And its essence is the connectivity. Cross border integration can have several dimensions, such as cultural, social, political, and economical. However, the term globalization is used in the limited sense of economic integration, which can happen through the three channels of trade, movement integration, and flow of finances. Well, now, let's define trade. Trade is defined as the basic economic concept involving the buying and selling of goods and services, with compensation paid by buyer to a seller, or the exchange of goods or services between parties. The most common medium of exchange for these transactions is money. And that was the definition of trade. And now let's define the digital revolution. The digital revolution referred to the advancement of technology from electronic and mechanical devices of the digital technology available today. And let's not forget about terrorism. Even though there are a lot of definitions for terrorism, there is one thing that they all have in common: the fear. So let's say that terrorism is like a process of terror, which have three main elements: the threat of violence, the extreme fear on the part of the victims, and the social effects that flow to the violence. And now that we have defined our main topics, let's discuss about them. Well, talking about globalization, it definitely has brought benefits in developed countries as well as negative effects. The positive effects include a number of factors, which are education, trade, technology, competition, investments and capital flows, employment, culture, and organization structure. But globalization also has its negative effects to the developed nations and the entire world. These include some factors which are jobs insecurity, fluctuation in prices, terrorism, fluctuation in currency, capital flows, and so on. And if you think it for a second, globalization is like the thing that makes us as humanity to get evolved, Because in the end, it's all about evolving and growing, And that's how the world keeps moving forward, discovering and living knowledge, yes. Well, therefore, for achieving the globalization, we must focus on its first and most important branch, which is the economy. And then for achieving economy, there's first commerce and trade. The World Trade Organization, the WTO, is the only global or international organization dealing with the rules of trade between nations. Its main objective is to help producers of goods and services, exporters and importers conduct their business. The rules or main principles of the organization are the trading without discrimination, the free trade gradually through negotiation, predictability, and through blinding and transparency, promoting fair competition and encouraging development and economic reform. Those are the main rules from the WTO, and it was officially made up on January 1st from 1995, and it's made up by 174 members since July 29 of 2016. And well, this organization, I think that it's extremely important because its main objective says, it helps to the whole 164 producers to achieving the trading, and trading is important, is the most important branch of economy and globalization, and therefore economy is achieved by doing that. And not only economy, culture, technology, etc. This organization is like, a ship that connects us all through a narrow sea. It's like a ship, yes. So it's of huge importance, yes. About the digital revolution, well, as everything, it has its positive and negative aspects. It and its positive aspects do not get so far from the fact that the world is changing and discovering, evolving. Yes, we've seen extremely intelligent as a humanity since the last century, and technology has grown intensely. And that's not a bad thing, you know, because everybody loves a flower that is growing. Not the simplicity, yes. For other part, humanity has each day connects itself more and more with the technos and the medias. We've reached a point where we've become the technology. And think about this. The ones who's watching this video is using like a laptop or its phone, I don't know, a computer, and even myself, I use technology for investigating the information for getting into this topic, and I used also technology in my computer for achieving like for making this video, right? So how do you say it? Ah, yes, and that's a problem because we as humanity, we are losing our essence, you know, and that's what makes us humans. And I hope that we don't really reach a point where humans prefer to watch TV than traveling around the world, you know. And as a last discussion, I would like to say that the same technology can support terrorism. Indeed, it can support it because I've read about terrorism in some articles. There was established that the hackers, the ones that are really intelligent with the computers and stuff, they help the terrorists to accomplish their missions of that, and that's something true, you know, because nowadays everything works with the internet and technology. And if hackers get into, I don't know, into a system that control weapons like nuclear weapons or security systems, then terrorism can be easier. But technology can also defeat terrorism, sorry. If the hackers can enter to international security codes or stuff, hackers may also find people who make terrorism and catch them for justice, you know, to be made. And it can also improve the security surveillance, and it can track down certain terrorists and protect the world, yes. And well, for concluding, globalization is important because it relates and ensures strong ties between all the whole countries that conform the world. And trade is a globalization's important branch because it sets up economy and it confirmed the world, you know, and it exchanged the cultures between the countries, yes. And the digital revolutions relate itself with the globalization and with terrorism. And terrorism, it's bad, yes. And well, these four topics have a huge relation that describes the world of what it's nowadays and today.